AITA for not borrowing a phone to text my wife when I was going to be late from a work event? Part of my work involves entertaining clients and partners. For the most part, these things happen during work hours, except when I am traveling, and then about every other month I will have something that is in the evening. Last night I had dinner with several people that were in from out of town. After a day of running around a bit, at dinner I realized my phone was below 10% charge. I was texting with my wife, and around 8:30 I expected to be home by 11, and I let her know that my phone was on low battery and was going to die. After dinner at around 10 p.m., with a dead phone, there was interest in going to play pool, so we walked to a bar and played some pool. It ended up being a later night, and I ended up leaving at 12:30. My wife is usually in bed by 9:30, so I generally assume that the difference between 11 and 1 to her isn't important. I certainly could have borrowed my boss's phone to text her, but it didn't seem like something that was needed. I put my phone on the charger on the 25-minute drive home, but as the battery was fully dead, it took a bit before I could power it on, and honestly wasn't a priority as I assumed my wife would be asleep, and I didn't have any missed calls or text from my wife when I did power it on. When I got home, my wife was very angry and demanded I sleep in the guest room. I politely declined, brushed my teeth, listened to her call me a drunk, cheat, asshole, but didn't engage, as I didn't think it would be productive. Some context is that about 2 years ago, I also had a late night with a client, though my phone had power, and I was playing pool at my office. The GPS tracking on my phone put my phone in the alley. At the time, I didn't have exceptions for Do Not Disturb on my phone, which turned on automatically at 11 p.m. So when she called, I didn't see it, and my phone was plugged into a speaker playing music, so it wasn't in my pocket. With the GPS showing me in the alley, my wife called the cops. Overall, I will admit that the situation there, I gave no indication when I was going to be home and had a charged phone which I wasn't responding to. So I certainly felt like TA in that situation and apologized profusely. This situation felt a bit different, and I don't feel that my actions last night were unreasonable, but happy to take to the internet and get an opinion. The question here is AITA for assuming that being 2 hours late was acceptable without any notice, or is the expectation that borrow a phone to text that I was going to be late? Update. On the guise of having dinner to discuss, my wife served me divorce papers. This came out of nowhere, and I have no idea what could have possibly caused this. Or we had a good dinner. I apologized for not giving space and not borrowing a phone. She apologized for the unfair name calling and overreaction. We drank a few glasses of wine, discussed the assumptions I made, what went through her head that built up all the anger. We discussed a handful of things, and both of us walked away from the situation in a good mood.
Do you think he should have called to say he was going to be late, or is his wife overreacting? Comment down below. But now, let's jump into our next story. AITA for refusing to give up my front row spot at a concert to someone claiming to be disabled? A couple of weeks ago, I traveled to another country to see an artist I've been a fan of for 6 years. This was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'd been waiting months for it. I sacrificed a lot financially and mentally to make it happen. Since it was my first, and probably only, time seeing them, I went all out. I bought general access tickets and arrived at the queue at 5 a.m., even though the doors wouldn't open until 6:30 to 7 p.m., in freezing cold weather. I waited all day, hungry, cold, and dehydrated, but it was worth it because when the doors opened, I secured a front row barricade spot, right up against the stage. This was my dream spot. Then, a guy behind me tapped me on the shoulder and told me he was disabled. He said the venue was supposed to let disabled attendees in early, but they hadn't. He asked me to give him my spot at the barricade. Here's the thing. I know this venue is very accommodating for disabled attendees. I actually have friends with disabilities who've gone to shows here, and the staff always ensures they get to the front row safely during a designated time frame before it gets too crowded. Now, I'm a very short person, 155 cm/51 inch, and this guy was extremely tall, easily over 5.5. If I gave him my spot, I wouldn't be able to see anything at all because he would completely block my view. I honestly would have been willing to move if he wasn't so tall or if I could still see from the second row. However, in this case, I knew I'd lose the view I had waited more than 10 hours for. I tried to compromise. I pointed out that the right side of the barricade was still open and suggested he go there. Since he's so tall, he'd still have a great view and could hold onto the rail for support. However, he refused, saying the view wasn't as good as where I was. While we were talking, that section filled up and he became more insistent. He said he'd have a hard time if he couldn't take my spot. At this point, I got frustrated and explained. 1. If his disability was that serious, he should be in the accessible section, which is specifically designed for attendees with disabilities. 2. If he insisted on being in the standing section, he should have brought a support aid, like a cane. I'd seen someone nearby with one. 3. If he spoke to security, they could escort him to the front row disabled seating, which has a fantastic view and is much more accommodating. After hearing this, he called me an asshole, told me to get fucked, and left. I feel like he just wanted my spot and wasn't being truthful. The venue offers several options for disabled attendees, and I tried to direct him to alternatives. I feel bad for saying no, but I don't think it was fair for him to ask me to sacrifice my entire experience. So, ATA?
Do you think she was in the right to stand her ground, or should she have been more accommodating? Comment down below. Now to the next tale of the day. AITA for leaving my mother's party after she insulted my daughter? I, 36M, have a stepdaughter, 14F, Anna. Her mother and I married when Anna was 2. I consider her to be my real daughter in every way that matters, and love her just as much as my biological children. Most of my family adores Anna. She's a very sweet and hardworking girl who does her best to make them proud. However, my mother, 55F, appears to not. She's never outright said that she dislikes my daughter or why, but I've always thought it's because Anna wasn't my biological child. I've been teaching Anna to cook for a few years now. She asked me last year if she could start bringing her cooking to family gatherings and potlucks, and of course I agreed. My mother started critiquing Anna's dishes. It began with just suggesting she had different spices or cook an ingredient a little longer, but over the past few months it's been getting worse. She doesn't criticize the dishes of any family members. This Thanksgiving, she told Anna that the casserole she made was disgusting and inedible. I told my mother to stop criticizing Anna and that she was doing her best, but she just brushed me off, which was the final straw. My family was in town this week to celebrate my mother's birthday. I had some curry that my mother had made about 6 months ago and given to me to freeze, so I reheated it and brought it to the party and told everyone Anna had worked very hard to make it just like her grandmother always did. Immediately, my mother started criticizing the curry, saying how Anna had added too much spice and overcooked the chicken. She even went so far as to tell Anna that she should stop bringing food to potlucks altogether. I hadn't originally intended to make a big deal out of this, but that comment crossed a line. I informed my mother that it was her own curry that I had reheated, and Anna had not actually cooked it. She immediately started sputtering and backpedaled, saying she was just trying to give constructive criticism and make Anna a better cook, but I knew she didn't really believe it. I asked her why she would treat my own stepdaughter so badly, and she admitted that she didn't see Anna as her real grandchild. This was the final straw for me. I found my wife, Anna, and my other children, and told them we had to leave, explaining what my mother said. We probably won't be attending any family gatherings for the foreseeable future either. My mother has gone full scorched earth on Facebook, and most family members have taken her side. She says that I ruined her party by leaving, and that I destroyed our relationship for someone who isn't even my real child. My wife is on my side, but he thinks that we shouldn't have left the party, since I'd already proven my point.
Wow, talk about good parenting. He did the right thing by backing up his daughter. Well, you know what time it is. It's time for our next story. AITA for getting mad at my best friend's girlfriend? Me, 24F. I have a best friend, 23M. I've known him since high school. He was pretty shy back then, and we had been paired up for a school assignment. At first he was very close with me, but we noticed that we had a lot in common, and he began to have more confidence. We are both heavy metal fans, although I admit that we are not experts on bands and all that stuff, but we had fun going to concerts together. I feel like I made him more self-confident. He even had the confidence to grow his hair and dress the way he liked. He comes from a somewhat religious family that didn't like skeletons on their shirts or rings, but over time they accepted him. Well, a few months ago he told me and our friends that he already had a girlfriend, 21F. I admit that it surprised me, but I was happy for him. However, when he introduced her to us, I was slightly disappointed. I won't deny it, she's pretty, but she looks too naive and looks like the typical good girl, although instead of pink, she wears light blue, and her personality was so blank. She didn't talk much, and when she did, she stuttered a little. Like she wasn't sure what to say. It was irritating. I know this sounds bad, but on almost all of our group outings, he would take her with him now, and it was so annoying to see how she tried to be friends with everyone. She also tried to get closer to me. Now here's the problem. A few weeks ago, it was my birthday. For obvious reasons, I invited him along with the rest of my friends, and obviously, he took her to my party. I was upset, but I didn't want to be rude and I let it go. When it was time for presents, he said to me, "Someone else also wanted to give you a special present." He made a gesture to his girlfriend. She smiled at me and gave me her gift. It was an Iron Maiden t-shirt and sweater. I didn't know how to react. I didn't say anything. She seemed to have noticed because she told me that if I didn't like my gift, I could exchange it for another one, but I rejected it. She started saying that it was a very special gift, that I was like an older sister to her and other things. I couldn't take it anymore and I yelled her to shut up, that it had become very clear to me that she was very perfect and that she should do me a favor and shut her mouth. She didn't say anything. She just looked down and started crying. My best friend looked at me in a way he had never done before. He just apologized and left with her. I was so devastated and upset to see that my birthday had been ruined. And the scolding from my other friends didn't make me feel any better. The next day, he wrote to me and told me that until I apologized, he could no longer be my friend. I tried to tell him I didn't mean to, that I was just feeling overwhelmed, but he told me that was no excuse and stopped talking to me. I have written to him multiple times, begging for forgiveness, but he just leaves me on read and never answers. I tried to talk to our group of friends to get their help, but everyone told me I was a fool for treating my best friend's girlfriend like that when she just wanted to be nice. I admit that I may have been a bit harsh on her, and I would hate for my friend to throw away so many years of friendship just because of one incident. I am desperate. AITA for messing with my best friend's girlfriend and accidentally hurting her feelings? Edit. My previous post was deleted, and for some reason Reddit was crashing, so I deleted my account. I will apologize to her later. Short update. I already sent a message to his girlfriend to apologize. She hasn't read it yet. She wakes up to 8 a.m. I hope there is still hope. For those few wondering why I expected only my friend to come to my party, it was going to be too loud because of the music, and she doesn't like that. She doesn't have any disabilities as far as I know, but I think it might be social anxiety. I'm not sure. Update 1. Okay, I've already earned the hate of Reddit, thanks, but you don't have to send me rude private messages. I already understood that he acts very badly. Well, I already got an answer, not directly from her, but from my now ex-best friend. Yes, he decided not to give me another chance. This is what he said. Me. I already saw the message you sent to A, his girlfriend. She showed it to me. I'm sorry to tell you this, but your apology feels forced and fake. It took you a whole week to apologize to her, while you were sending me messages every hour. I don't think there's any remorse on your part, and that's why I don't feel comfortable with you anymore. You ended our friendship as soon as you decided to humiliate my girl. I appreciate the time we had as friends. But now my happiness is her, and I will protect her even if I have to cut off all my friendships. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you realize how terrible you act. Goodbye. Reading that was like a bucket of cold water falling on me. Now I see that my attitude drove away the person I loved and care about the most. I will still try to fix things. Edition 2. I admit, I had feelings for my friend, but I think I confused them with brotherly affection. However, I really loved him too much, and I guess that's why I acted like that with his girlfriend. IT was just resentment. She didn't deserve it.
Geez, jealous much? Our last story of the day is about some roommate drama. AITA for not continuing to stay with current housemate? I, 28M, and my housemate Jack, 26M, have been good friends/housemates for 5 years. We were housemates for 3 years back in college in our home country. After grads, we got jobs at the same company in a foreign country. So we moved and continue to be housemates. We're good friends but not besties, have occasional deep talks. We share a 2-bed, 1-bath flat. Rent is about 20% of our salary each. We share 55/45 as I got the bigger room. I keep to myself, so I don't mind him putting his stuff in the living room as I don't use it. Been staying together for 2 years now. Everything was fine until last August. I told Jack since our housing contract ends 2 months, October, I'll be moving with my GF to another flat, as we're getting serious. Jack did not take it well at all, flew off the handle, started fake crying, kneeling down to beg me to help him out as he doesn't want to pay 50% more to rent alone in our current nice area, or pay same or cheaper in worse areas. He said this was too sudden of a bomb. It's 3 months. I was very upset by his emotional blackmailing reason, but I compromised and agreed to stay till April. Another 8MO for him to find another housemate. He agreed. Few days later, he told me he's thought about it. If things go south with our job, he'll go back to our home country. If nothing happens, I doubt he didn't get fired. He'll move out and find somewhere else. I agreed and we left at that. Now, back to last week. We got words that our company's not going to be laying off anyone this year. So, when I got home, he told me that since our job's still secured, he was thinking about staying for another year to save up more money before he goes back to our home country. I immediately had a bad feeling. I've been through some emotional stress lately, didn't need and want this negativity, so I didn't engage and went back to my room. Cue this Sunday, I was out with my GF and friends having a great time. Jack dropped a text. He decided to stay, asking if I was willing to stay for another 6MO to help him save rent, along with the usual emotional blackmailing and moral abducting reasons, saying that we as friends should help him. His livelihood depends on us. He's still broke and doesn't have enough savings. If I were to leave, he'll be lonely. But buying luxury items, useless crap every other week, orders takeout 3 nights a week doesn't sound like someone who's trying to save money. I declined. He went off the rails again and threw a bunch of his feelings, that I was cruel and I don't value our friendship, and I was dead to him, that I was an ass to do that to him. He's been telling our friends and colleagues that too. Victimizes himself every single turn, saying how hard it is to lower himself to beg me, etc. Plus, he's actively avoiding me at home, which is childish AF. AITA for not continuing to stay? As far as I know, this friendship is over.
I feel like his roommate definitely has some attachment issues or something. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your day.